of the GSTC criteria for destination for the 4 dimensions. Oh, I forgot to tell you that a lot of stakeholders, whether private, public, NGOs, universities, coming to join hands in supply side management for sustainable tourism. To give you about successful work, we have created our own standards, which are called STMS, standing for Sustainable Tourism Management System. It's for the destination. And the other one is called CPT Thailand for short, or the full name is Criteria for Thailand's Community-Based Tourism Development. That is exclusively for CBT, Community-Based Tourism. So we submitted the 2 standards for recognition from GSTC, and we have got the status of GSTC recognized already from the Global Sustainable Tourism Council. So to put together all development tools of DASTA, we put the CBT Thailand for the local community, STMS for the local administration body, GSTCI very soon in the future. We have not touched fully yet about the GSTCI for industry tour operators and hotels, but for the destination is also conducting. But we use the green hotel. We join hands with the Department of Environmental Quality Promotion under the Ministry of Natural Resources and Environment to promote the green hotel in our 6 designated areas. So altogether would be to respond to the GSTC criteria as guideline. Green hotel, yeah, we join hands with the hotel, especially in Pattaya, in Nan, in Loi province, and we also have a good cooperation with 19 Thai leading universities in 8 tourism clusters across the country. We signed MOU with the universities from each tourism cluster. I'm not sure about the tourism cluster in Thai context. The Ministry of Tourism and Sport has declared to now 9 tourism clusters across the country, where each cluster comprises 4 or 5 provinces connected together. So there are about 38 provinces covering 9 clusters now. And we are going to do the pilot assessment in 6 destinations in our responsible areas, starting from Koh Mak, which will be branded as the low carbon island. In Trat province, the easternmost province bordering Cambodia. Pattaya, the world famous beaches in Chonburi in the eastern part of Thailand as well. To Sukhothai, the satellite area surrounding the historical park of Sukhothai. This is an example that the Minister of Tourism and Sports collecting garbage up the hill, painting with Sankalok Siladon. Chiang Mai in Loi province. I would like to thank executives ranging from Vice Governor from Loi province, Mr. Sopon Suvarnarat, and the governor will come himself this afternoon together with executives of the Loi province also coming here. The president of Red Cross Society sitting behind the vice governor over there. We have promoted heavily about the tourism for all, and also creating some creativity tourism project like a river art along Mekong River. Here you can see the governor pulling a fish on the, actually this is a 3D river arts. Also we have organized the discussions, brainstorming about tourism for all at Loi. Nan Old City, a province in the northern part of Thailand, which is the living old city, rich of culture and story to tell about the ways of life of the local people, and also Utong ancient city. This is the smallest deserted area we have had, covering about 37 square kilometers in Suphanburi province, about 2 hours drive west from Bangkok. where it is believed to be the birthplace of Thailand 3,000 years back. So in the near future, we are going to expand to the tourism clusters covering at least 9 areas declared by the Ministry of Tourism and Sports. And with the quality participatory approach, we use the term co-creation to work with the stakeholders in our designated areas to ensure the QTE, quality tourism experiences, by when enter into a destination, they will get, every footprint of their journey will create quality tourism experiences. They will engage. The experience happen here until exit with fond memory, and they will extend by sharing through probably Facebook, Instagram, website. This should be the last slide. So in conclusion,
you get a chance, fill in your questions. Okay, so let's go back to my presentation. Now we've lost the QR code, and get back to my PowerPoint. Okay, so there's the 3 themes. So let me go one by one through the themes and share with you. So we have breakout sessions on these topics. Now these are, all 3 themes are big topics. So we're not trying to be thorough and comprehensive on any of them. It's impossible. These are 3 big themes. They need ongoing learning and sharing and discussion. But in this conference for the next 2 days, we have breakout sessions on these 4 topics under Smart Destination. The application of technology to manage a site better. Visitor behavior, an enormous issue where we can really influence visitor interaction, community benefits, and a topic I like to call sense of place. And this is particularly important, I think, in this region where we have many old Asian destinations that foreigners and domestic people alike are interested in seeing. Some places in non-city, some of the DASTA projects in Loei and so forth. And I think this is a very important topic, this idea of sense of place. As the economies of the world globalize, we find our lives looking more and more the same. We have international chains for coffee shops and fast food and so forth. And what the visitor wants when they travel internationally is to have authentic and unique experience. So we like that term, sense of place. We got a session on that. And I appreciate very much, Dr. Chuwit, your presentation, the humility and transparency of showing the assessment. There were a lot of reds, weren't there? Yes. I applaud you for putting that on the screen. We all know we have a lot of work to do. Yes. Yes. And so to make our destinations smarter, to make them better, higher quality, the first step is to assess the situation, see where we stand, educate the stakeholders, and then we can move forward. So thank you very much for that. That degree of transparency and humility to see so many red-rated and pink-rated things that we went through destinations. So we're going to work on making all that better. So Dr. Chuwit will be available for some questions on that, on destination management. We can all chip in. Then the next theme is quality tourism. And again, big topic, and we're covering these 5 aspects of it in various breakout sessions that you can look for the next 2 days. Accessibility, very important issue. I think developed world countries tend to do better on that, but even in the United States, where I come from, we had the National Law Americans with Disabilities Act only 20 years ago. I remember the screaming and the jumping up and down of people in the travel industry thinking, oh my God, we have to do all these things and all this compliance, and there was all this complaining, and then the law came into being, and it really wasn't that hard. So I think we can, and I think there's a lot for all of us in this room to learn about accessibility. We've got experts on that. Themes on sustainable hotels, discussions, I should say, innovative accommodation, standards and certification, driving quality, and skills development. So these are some of the topics we're going to cover. And I've asked also Natalie Kidd from Peak DMC to add a few thoughts of her own on that. And so why don't we start, Natalie, with you, to add a little bit more color commentary, think about the topics we already have. And what do you at Peak DMC, with 21 destination management company locations around the world, in your business, what are you really looking for in terms of what does quality management mean to you? If you could share a few thoughts.
Thank you, Randy. So I'm Natalie Kidd. I'm the Managing Director of Peak DMC, which is Intrepid's group's division of destination management companies. So we're an inbound tour operator. We create and deliver travel experiences for more than 50 different external travel companies around the world, travel brands around the world. We have 21 DMCs globally, Europe, Middle East, Africa, Latin America, and of course here in Asia. And through those companies, we employ over 450 local staff and work with well over 1,000 local guides, tour leaders, drivers, and other crew. Talking about quality tourism, smarter destination management, these are things we're really passionate about at Peak DMC. Our stated purpose is to create, innovate, deliver sustainable experience-rich travel. So that's how we define the business that we're in, sustainable experience-rich travel. What that means is that when we're delivering tour packages, we of course are looking to minimise the impact of any negatives of tourism, but really try and ensure that our end customers are engaging with the people and the culture and the destinations that they're visiting. They of course want to see the major icons, the famous sites, but we really try and include into all of our product those true experiences where they are really engaging at a deeper level. But sustainable tourism in general, we've heard how much it's growing. We know how much it's growing. We know that people around the world are increasingly deciding to spend their money more on experiences rather than possessions. They're moving from perhaps more mainstream tourism, from beach breaks and leisure breaks, to more adventurous types of holidays, and are really looking for that authentic experience. What is authentic is a question that I think we need to address when we talk about sustainability. As this growth continues though, and as more and more tour operators move into this more experiential type of tourism, we really need to look at that challenge of how do we manage this growth in not causing more problems within the destinations that we visit. From a private sector perspective, we really believe in partnering, and I think Randy talked earlier about learn, to share and to partner. And we really absolutely agree with that, but we like to be at the table as private enterprise, working with communities, with governments, with non-government organisations, and we believe that it's that knowledge we can bring together where we can really be successful. As a private enterprise, we're looking at not just sustainability, but also commercial success. And I guess that comes to our travelling public. Sure, they're becoming more aware and asking more for sustainability, which is great, but price is still an element in their decisions. So for us as a private enterprise, we really need to make sure that what we're doing is commercial. If activities are not commercial, they won't be sustainable in the long run. However, of course, if they're not sustainable, they also won't be commercial in the long run. So it's really important for us to be looking for a balance of those two issues. So underpinning what we do is we really embrace the concept of CSV, creating shared value, which I'm sure most of you understand, which is looking at an activity we do. It has to create an economic benefit for us as a business, but we really want to share that benefit, whether it's with environmental issues, society issues, sharing the benefit with the partners that we're working with, and the local communities and other stakeholders. Coming to the table, we also really look at what is it that our end customers are looking for, because we need to be meeting their needs for us to be successful. An example of this concept that's worked rather well for us. We have a community-based tourism project in Myanmar just outside of Bagan, and there we've partnered with 3 local communities, and those local communities in turn had been working with an NGO, had decided that they really wanted to embark on a tourism project, and we came in as that private partner. And we were able to work with them and perhaps share and give them some knowledge on what our customers might be looking for, what might work, what might not work. And also, ultimately, once the tourism project was put together, we were able to contribute that income stream by bringing our customers to the project. So it really was a true partnership and a true example of creating shared value where the communities gained value from it and us as an organisation, a tour operator, gained value. With success, though, comes the additional challenge of growth. So it has been a very successful project for us. We went and did a review last year, and the local communities started saying, well, this has been really successful, maybe we want to expand and we want to bring more people here and we might need room for more people to stay. And of course, it's in their right to actually want more growth. We shouldn't stop that. But understanding the customer wants and the customer perception of what's authentic, we also need to share with them our insights that if they grow too much and have too many tourists coming and visiting at any one time, that may well impact on that feeling of being an authentic experience and may in the longer term impact on the quality and the future sustainability of that experience. So it's that balancing act that we really need to contribute to. In terms of delivering quality experiences, we also have a range of policies, processes that we input on a global level. So being a global organisation operating all around the world, we really have that underlying basis trying to give us consistency of what we do. So from health and safety to incident management to responsible tourism, that's all really important to underline what we do. And then locally, it's our local teams really are able to add that local engagement, local partnerships on top. However, one of the most important things, again, I think Randy mentioned earlier, tourism is about people. It's about social connections. So for us, our really in-depth training of our tour leaders and our tour guides is a really important element for us delivering that sustainable experience. Those people become the connector between our travelling customers and the local people, the local communities. And it is those tour leaders who really facilitate a much deeper connection. They're also able to share the issues with our customers and help them understand how to better engage in a culturally appropriate way. So they are really a very key part of delivering everything we stand for and believe in and helping create a successful partnership for our customers, us as a business, and all the different communities that we travel through. The final point I'd just like to make, and it's also been made before this morning, is quality and sustainable tourism is not static. It keeps moving, it keeps changing. And so for us to continue striving in that direction, we need to stay agile, we need to keep adapting, and of course we need to keep learning, which is why events like this are so important for us. Thank you.
Thank you very much. If we could go back to the other slides. And so the third theme is tourism protecting wildlife. That's a very aggressive goal, that tourism could be so positive to actually protect wildlife. On environmental issues, I think we typically think about travel and tourism as we're trying to minimize the damage, but I think there is some optimism and so forth. So can we pull up, can we get my slide, my PowerPoint? So I just want to again run through the sessions that we're going to cover on this topic. One is illegal trade. Lee is going to speak heavily about that. Here we go. So one is tourism's role in preventing illegal wildlife trade. Lee is going to speak on that. We have very interesting discussion on elephant welfare. This is a very sensitive subject. There's been a lot of confusion, a lot of discussion on this issue. And I think it really speaks to this is a very good example that we really need collaboration, sharing on complex issues. And so we're just, at our conference, we're putting this wildlife theme together because in this region in particular, we have a number of issues, and we come to Chiang Mai in the heart of elephant country. So this is why we've added this topic of elephants. But we also have the broader topic of marine wildlife. We've brought from the Philippines Dr. A. Yaptinchai, an expert on marine biology. So to kind of round out the discussion and look at the interaction of tourism with marine as well. Before I bring Lee up, I want to make a couple of comments. You may have seen some of these billboards at Suvarnabhumi Airport and elsewhere. This is another organization, Wild Aid, that is doing some very good work, I think, in raising awareness. And this is just such a key issue. To use celebrity to get people's attention to cover issues. There's so much we can do to impact visitor behavior. Many people just don't understand the impact of their behavior. So here's a major campaign to educate travelers that ivory tusks belong on elephants and not on trinkets and souvenirs. And so this is a very exciting campaign, using the powers, so you can just see here in the walkway through Suvarnabhumi Airport, using the power of celebrity to get people's attention. Very exciting. Lee's going to speak about this. So these are all photos I just took myself at Suvarnabhumi Airport. So that's very exciting to see that level of activity. Oh, what happened to our... Yeah, we lost it. There we go. Upper left photo, shark fin soup. Middle photo, piles of shark fins. Lower photo, a shark plunging to his death. Why? Because to feed the demand, literally, for shark fin soup, there is some shark fins come from responsible fishing, where a shark is taken and the entire body is used. But because of the demand for shark fin soup, all too much of that supply is fed by unethical, whether it's illegal or not. There aren't many countries in the world that ban this, that make it illegal. But it's unethical. So we have sharks that are taken only for their fin, and they immediately just go straight down to the bottom of the ocean and die. All that meat wasted, it's extremely damaging. We need awareness on these kinds of issues. Do the people who eat the shark fin soup know that very little of that shark is sustainably captured? We need greater awareness. We need greater monitoring so that a shark is only taken if the whole body is used and it's sustainably produced. So there's some very intensive, sensitive issues. And so, we don't know, I don't know the percentage of sharks that are taken in this way. But the point is, we should all care, and I think we should work on raising awareness that that kind of taking of a shark fin only for the fin is bad for the environment. And we as consumers, when we're eating shark fin soup, we should start asking, shouldn't we? We want to save the ocean, we want to save the planet. We have to be active. So, just a few thoughts to set the stage for Lee. If you could carry on and take us through more of your issues of what you're doing with illegal wildlife trade and other comments on wildlife. Lee Poston of WWF-Greater Mekong, please.
Thank you, Randy. And and thank you for teeing this up with such great comments. And I think I'll start. First of all, I'm Lee Poston. I'm Communications Director for WWF's Greater Mekong program. So I'm based in Bangkok, but I work in all 5 of the Mekong countries. And I've been with WWF for 23 years, a lot of that in the US. And I think following on from the shark fin example, Wild Aid's campaign was truly a game changer. And Yao Ming, having Yao Ming involved was certainly a massive use of celebrity. I mean, he was the biggest celebrity on the planet. And I was reading a Christian Science Monitor piece that basically broke it down in the headline. You didn't even really need to read the headline. How Yao Ming appeased the Chinese appetite for shark fin soup simply by telling the Chinese public how it's made. And that was the essence of it. That was the essence of the article. It mentions how in 2006, when they started the campaign, 75% of people were unaware that shark fin soup came from sharks. Part of that, a big part of that, is because the literal translation of shark fin soup is fish wing soup. 19% thought that the fins grew back after they were taken from the sharks, which we all know is not true. After the campaign in 2013, 82% surveyed said that they had stopped consuming based on Yao Ming's campaign. That is incredibly powerful. And so, you know, the man who's the most popular person on the planet basically changed the course of history for sharks, and it's a really powerful message. And I think also, you know, the director of Wild Aid, Peter Knights, really summed it up nicely. You know, he said it's a myth that people in Asia don't care about wildlife, and he basically put it down to misunderstanding, not malice, that there was a misunderstanding, and I think that's why awareness is so critical. We've had similar experiences here in the Greater Mekong on a variety of issues related to illegal wildlife trade. You know, this is a region of staggering beauty. You know, the Mekong River starts in the Tibetan Plateau and comes charging across the borders, supporting some of the most productive landscapes on the planet. It's also home to iconic species like the Asian elephant, tigers, leopards, pangolin, ibis, freshwater dolphins. And we just turned the corner on freshwater dolphins in the Irrawaddy, which is a big tourism center where for the first time in 20 years, the numbers are increasing. They went down to a low of 80, and now they're at 92. And we just had a new baby born in the Mekong. And so that's a great source of tourism revenue. So it's a really good program. The Mekong River holds 3 times more fish species per unit area than the Amazon River. In fact, 2.6 million tons of fish are harvested each year from its waters. It's the largest inland fishery in the world, up to 25% of the global freshwater catch. And it's also the largest combined tiger habitat in the world, 540 square kilometers, roughly the size of France. And also, we've been documenting new species that have been discovered in this region, 2,600 since we started documenting them in 1997. We've been collating these. They're obviously discovered by scientists across the region, not by WWF, but we kind of bring awareness to the fact that there are so many incredible new species being found here: mammals, birds, fish, plants, and reptiles. So it's truly breathtaking that in a region with so many challenges and threats, this many species, including mammals, are being discovered. But the question remains, how many of those species are going extinct before they're even discovered? And I think that's our challenge, and I think that's the challenge of the tourism industry. That's why awareness and understanding is essential on issues like ivory trade. Our research has shown that there is a misunderstanding amongst people who buy ivory that they don't think elephants die for it, that they think they die of natural causes, or that you can take ivory off of elephants without killing them. So we've campaigned on this issue, worked very closely with the Thai government, and you know, we basically did a social media campaign called Chor Chang Can Save Elephants. There's a great video summary of it where we used the concept of the letter for one of the letters in the Thai alphabet is Chang, which means elephant, and so we did a campaign about what if we lost the elephants, what if you lost that letter from the alphabet. And there's been a lot of movement in Thailand. The Elephant Ivory Act was passed. There's been much stricter regulation on ivory shops in Thailand, and the Prime Minister himself oversaw a crush of stockpiled ivory. And of course, you know, China recently announced that it has banned ivory trade. One of our and also Hong Kong has followed through. And basically, we've done surveys that showed that the intention to reject ivory has gone from 50% to 72%, so after the ban. So now that people are aware of it, 72% of people say they will reject ivory. But as we know, every silver lining does have a cloud. And we are concerned about the impact of a ban in China that it will have in the Greater Mekong region, that it will have in Vietnam, in Thailand, in Laos, in Myanmar. We're concerned that people who still want to purchase ivory will come to Thailand or to other countries and purchase ivory, not realizing that, first of all, you can't take it back across the borders. Thailand alone receives 10 million visitors from China, and as you heard this morning, 38 million totally. That is a massive amount of tourists. So I'm an optimist by nature. I think doing what I do, you have to be, and it's also WWF's approach to wildlife conservation. We've seen with shark finning, with elephant ivory, with plastics. These are all issues that are gaining traction because of awareness. But the situation is dire for wildlife around the world, and while we're optimistic, we're not naive. 60%, as you heard this morning, 60% of wildlife species have gone extinct since 1970. That's just 40 years. That's a blink. It's less than a blink of an eye in the great time scale. Forests across the region are suffering from what we call empty forest syndrome because they're being emptied of wildlife by poachers' snares. And in the markets of the Golden Triangle, you can often find tiger, bear, pangolin, rhino, and many other species openly sold. And elephants and rhinos are disappearing from the plains and forests of Africa. And oftentimes it's ending up in this region and going to places beyond the region. Pangolins are the world's most trafficked animal, and their numbers are plummeting across the range. So we have to raise awareness. We have to communicate very clearly, culturally sensitive, in a systematic way, an ongoing way about these issues. We have to make the case for why it's important to protect the natural heritage of these countries. It's why we ran a campaign during Golden Week in October to basically use social media, the power of social media, to reach people who were traveling into Thailand and out of China to basically get messages across. We worked with Scoot Airlines. We used precision marketing, social listening, and targeted text messages. Li Bingbing, talking about celebrities, the actress Li Bingbing appeared on airport billboards, highlighting the environmental and the legal angles, because it's really important that we get across that while there may be a domestic, you may be able to purchase ivory in Thailand, you cannot take it out of the country. And we just, on social listening, we found that our campaign, 12% of people were in favor of the ban, and then afterwards 30%. This was before our campaign, and then after it. So we're seeing a lot of chatter on social media that's really a way to get the message across. And we just completed a Lunar New Year campaign, reaching out to visitors and also recommending alternative souvenirs. There are so many amazing things to buy in this in this part of the world, and tourists should be taking home those souvenirs and not wildlife products. So this is why, in conclusion, the tourism industry is one of the most critical ways of reaching people. You have direct and indirect contact with tens of millions of people every year, people we can only dream of reaching out to. And your clients also trust you. They trust you to take them on their tours, to receive them. And so there's a real trust factor there that I think is very valuable in helping get across these messages. So that's why we believe in working in partnership with the tourism industry, and why we're so thankful to Randy for inviting us to this meeting. And I'm looking forward to the meetings today and talking and hearing from you about how to save the magnificent wildlife species here in the Greater Mekong and also around the world. Thank you.
Good. Thank you, Lee. Please have a seat. We just have a few minutes. Are we getting questions coming through? We have the iPad to show the questions. So let's leave the QR code up so people can hold up their smartphone, and we have some coming through. Thank you. So, a couple of themes I think that we've really tried to draw out here this morning, and Dr. Chuwit, you did so well just talking about all the, we said awareness raising, and you're training staff in your areas. I think we need so much awareness raising and training, as I said earlier, of all the practitioners of travel. If we could really quickly raise awareness on people who are interacting with the visitor, and we can do things like Lee has talked about of educating the visitor on shark fin. It's fascinating to hear 80% improvement in some of those statistics about the lack of understanding that a shark fin could grow back. My goodness. So, I shared with our training class that the island of Guam showed a 75% reduction in scuba and snorkel divers touching coral reef simply by asking them not to touch. Just think of the power of better communications. So if we can train our staff in hotels, tour operators, tour guides, all those touch points, if we can train them on the issues and we can communicate better to our clients, my goodness, what great power there is in that. Any comments on raising awareness from the panel? And I want to challenge all of our moderators, speakers, and all of you as participants in the breakout sessions too. Let's think about solutions for the next 2 days. Let's think about how better to communicate things. Because if we do raise awareness of the visitors and the people serving the visitors, I think we're going to have great victories on everything, on accessibility, on wildlife, on all elements. I don't see any questions coming through from the floor yet, but any further comments on these issues?
Yeah, I think absolutely agree that we've got a huge responsibility and opportunity to have our teams share this knowledge, with our travelling visitors. But again, we find two lots of benefit here. Firstly, there's the obvious benefit in educating the end visitors, but we also find it's something that is really engaging for our staff and the people that work with us. And I know we hear regularly when we're asking in kind of staff surveys and general engagement surveys, our staff love working for us because we encourage this. So I think it's a two-way benefit that we're getting the knowledge out, but our teams around the world love the fact that they can contribute back to their countries by doing this good work.
That's really a great point. There's studies that show internationally surveys of employees, and this isn't just travel and tourism, but any business that has a strong CSR policy and is doing the right thing in terms of social issues and environmental issues, internationally, this is cross-cultural, that employees feel greater pride in their employer, and they're better employees. They stay longer and they perform better. So it's an excellent point that doing right is contagious, and doing right has added benefits. Thank you for that. Any questions from the floor? If you haven't scanned the code, ask your questions. Somebody from the floor? Yeah. Have you been able to try to use the software? We don't have microphones. Yeah, I can hear you, so let's try, please. Your voice carries very well. Did you hear? What is Peak doing on accessibility as a travel company?
I think it's an area that we've really, started putting a lot more focus on in the last year. We have probably the best example we've got is through our Peru DMC. We have just recently finished working with a company called Will the World, who have done a wheelchair version of the Inca Trail getting to Machu Picchu, and we partnered with that organisation. And they've actually just released, I think a couple of weeks ago, a documentary on that expedition. And for us, that was a wonderful opportunity. We saw it, and I think there were other DMCs that kind of shied away because they didn't know how to attempt it. And we hadn't done something like that before, but we absolutely saw the opportunity. It was a great project to be involved with, and we learned a lot from that. So we had already been looking at hotels around the world and trips around the world and what was accessible, so we could make more product available. But this was a really in-depth, immersion into what can be achieved. And I think we've had that learning in that one DMC. And the benefit of us being global is we learn in one of our offices and then we really share that around the world. So we're certainly looking at what else we can do now we've achieved that and had that learning, how we can actually spread that out and do more in that space. So it's fair to say it's still early days for us, but something we're really keen to be more involved with as we go forward.
Thank you. Any final comments, panel?
Chair. Oh, okay. I think I can't emphasize enough, because we've talked about this as well, is that I think something we should do a better job of is alternative souvenirs. As we've mentioned, we've done a little bit of that, but I really want to come out of this and really go back and talk to the team in the Greater Mekong and basically focus on all of the great things to purchase here. I mentioned it there in the comments, but I think easy guidebooks or online guides and things like that that really showcase how there are so many other alternatives to wildlife products to buy here.
I think that's our responsibility as tour operators. As tour operators, we need to be educating in that, and it's something I know we had started on quite a while ago, actually sharing with our visitors what not to buy. And of course the flip side is taking them and showing them some great handicrafts and where that's worked, and that's an immersive experience in itself. But I think we all have a responsibility, because I believe the majority of people won't buy something if they understand. So we really need to all step up our game on that, I think.
Most people want to do the right thing. They just need to know what the right thing is. Please.
Yes, in terms of the quality tourism that I have been assigned with this topic, I would like to add for the final comments that the quality tourism would start from quality planning, and quality planning would come from quality communication. As a result, mandated by the board chairperson of GSTC, we have to be managing about the quality understanding about the GSTC. The in-house of the DASTA, permitted by the board chairperson of the GSTC, we will educate more and more intensively about the knowledge of the GSTC for destination in order to ensure about the quality people to communicate to the stakeholders. Coming to the quality planning that I have mentioned a little bit about quality planning, we will, in the next fiscal year, use the reference gained by GSTC Destination Assessment to be the reference to the budget of the Bureau, to the National Economic and Social Development Board, to the ministries in line who are considering the budgets to be approved to DASTA, showing that the reason we are asking for the budget is from the reference from the result of the GSTC assessment. We would like to improve from the red one to the pink, to the yellow, to the green. It's not intuition, it's not personal feeling. It comes from evidence from the GSTC destination assessment. Thank you.
Excellent, well said. Well, we like to think of ourselves as our contribution in sustainable tourism is to have these measurable elements and some tangible things to talk about. And I think, again, to come back to this idea, there's so many reds and pinks that we need to work on, and I like that humility. But whether we're a destination or a business, we all have a lot of work to do. Let's not be discouraged. Let's celebrate victories on our march toward progress. Because if we have 10 reds at one destination that we need to convert, we're not